CapCut is one of the best user-friendly video editors. In today's video, I'm going to give you guys a beginner step-by-step tutorial on how you can start creating amazing content. First, I recommend that you download the CapCut app for your desktop, because if you use a web browser one, it does look a little different, and we're using the app. So it's free to download. Go ahead and download that. Now, once you have the app downloaded on your desktop, you're going to go to Create Project. In this section, this is where you're going to import your videos. So we just hit import. You're going to find it on your computer wherever you have it. Now here you have your imported videos. So from here, what you want to do is drag whichever one you want into the timeline. In this area is where you're going to be able to edit the whole video. Your clip, whichever one you want, and you scroll your mouse open, then it'll make the clip wider, so you're able to see the clip better. Now let's say you want to trim your video on the front. You can select it and hold it down and scroll it in, or you can also go up here, and this area is called split, and if you notice here, it has split your clip into two. So if you want to delete it, you can go ahead and delete that. Now if you just want to use the commands on the computer to make it quicker, you would hit Command B, and that will also go ahead and split your clips. Now, if you want to undo that, you would go up here and hit undo, or Command Z, and that will undo everything you've done. Now, if you notice, when you select the clip on the timeline, this box on the right will show up. Here, you can make a lot of changes to the video. You can change the scale. My eyes. You can also mess with the rotation of the video. There's a bunch of other features. Now, if you notice, if it says Pro, that is for the paid CapCut, which honestly, I think it is worth it, but for now, we don't need that. We're just doing the beginner stuff. You can also mess with the audio. You can bring the volume up or down in areas that you need it. You can fade it in or out. They also have a voice changer. So if you want to have an echo in your voice or sound high or low, you can use those. Again, the other ones are for the pro accounts. Here you have the speed, so you can speed up your video or make it slower, however you want. And we have the animation tab, which we'll dive more into as we continue. Now, if we deselect the clip on the timeline, you will notice up here, the window changes to our project panel. For the most part, I would leave it as is. The only thing I would change is the name of the project. So here you would go to modify, and we would select name. So we can do CapCut tutorial, right? And then you would leave all this the same, and you would just hit save. So here it changes the name. Now this area right here is self-explanatory. It's the player window where you see the actual video. The only thing I would change here is if your video is struggling to play back or lagging, you would hit the three buttons, go to preview, and select best performance. But if it's fine, you would keep it at best quality. Now if you look at the top left, we have some other built-in, some audio, we have text that you can do some text effects to them. We have stickers, transitions, also captions that you can add. So those are the basic tools that you need for CapCut. Now I'm a visual and hands-on learner, so I'm going to be showing you basic edit on this clip that I have already in CapCut. The first thing I like to do is make sure that my video is framed to where I like it. It's not too high, it's not too low, so we can just go ahead and do that. Frame it here. You can also use the scale like I showed you before, or you can do it manually, whichever way you like. So I'm okay with this. Maybe zoom it in a little bit. Next, I make the timeline bigger so I can see where all of my talking points are, because these are all pretty much dead spaces. So the way I can do it, like I showed you before, is to trim it here, and I can start it there. Trying to find the best free editing software. Now I noticed that this playback, I repeated it again. So what I would do is I would go right here and hit Command B, which is blade, and then go over here. See how this starts? When I started, I used iMovie. And I like that, so I'm gonna delete this whole space right here. So we select right before where it starts. What I'm doing is hitting the arrow over to get to the front of it. Again, Command B, and hit this section right here, delete. So now, a little bit overwhelming. When I started, I used iMovie. Now it flows better. So that's how you cut. I'm gonna go ahead and go through the whole video and cut all the dead spaces. Now that I have all the dead spaces removed, the next thing I like to do is every other clip, I like to zoom in slightly. This switches up the pace on the video. Now it may seem kind of weird, but trust me, a lot of video editors do this. Another tip is if you want to mute the video for a moment, you would hit this mute track and track is muted. So here I would leave this one fine. The next clip, I would adjust it. Now you need to make sure that this line is on the actual clip that you're trying to adjust. So from here, I will scale it up. And then you need to make sure that your eyes are centered with the same clip before. Next clip. You can use this scale or you can use here to make it bigger as well. It's the same thing. Make sure it's aligned. And I'm gonna go ahead and do that for the rest of the video. These are my funny faces. Story of my life. All right, now let's unmute it. Now the track is unmuted. Play from the beginning. Trying to find the best free editing software may be a little bit overwhelming. When I started, I used iMovie. Then I upgraded to Final. Now you see what I mean? It does give a little switch up and keeps the audience engaged. Now speaking of keeping the audience engaged, the next thing I like to do is adding B-roll. So B-roll are the clips that go over and pretty much tell the story of what you're talking about. These are the clips that we add above the A-roll, which the A-roll is the clip that's on our timeline. Now, you can film your own B-roll, which is usually the best to do, but if you don't have time, which is okay, CapCut does have some free B-roll available for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys those. The first B-roll I wanna find is for when I say it may be a little overwhelming. Let's see. Trying to find the best free editing software may be a little bit overwhelming. So that's the part where I want to find. So I'm going to go over here where it says import. Then we're going to go to stock materials. And then we're going to type in overwhelmed. Hit enter. And here it gives you a bunch of videos that may match your search. So one thing you can look, type no limit. Basically that means if only you want videos or photos, that's what it'll show you. We're just gonna leave that as is. And here, if you want a landscape video or a portrait video, either one is fine. I'm just gonna leave it as is. So I feel like I like this one. What I'm gonna do is put it where I start may feel overwhelming. So let me listen to it again. Software. All right, right here is where I wanted to start, maybe 1 second back. So I'm gonna grab this, and you see once you click on it, it gives you a preview of what the video is about. And he looks very overwhelmed. So I'm going to grab this clip and start it here. Now, clearly, this is way too long. So I'm gonna cut it to where I want it to begin. So I'm gonna watch it. Okay, I want it to come in when he's doing that. Okay, so I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna cut it here. I'm gonna hit B for blade. Blade it there. A on my keyboard. Delete that, and then go back to where I wanted it to start. Where maybe then we will blade it here, cut it there to where that clip ends, delete that. Now let's see. Maybe a little bit overwhelming. Okay, now obviously this looks bad. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna scale it to fit the screen. So we're gonna make it big. If you want it to look like this, this is great. Software may be a little bit overwhelming. And there you go. Now let's say you don't want his face to be so close. You would scale it down, go to uniform scale and select this off. Now here you can adjust the height and doing it like that. But I like the other way I did it. So we're just gonna go back. So let's hear it again. Best free editing software may be a little bit overwhelming. Okay, that looks good to me. Now I'm gonna go ahead and go through the rest of the video to see if there is any other B-roll I wanna add. Okay, so that was a good amount of B-roll for me for this short clip. So the next thing you want to do is add transitions. These transitions also make the video look a little smoother and, again, keep your audience engaged. Now, a rookie mistake is to do a lot of transitions or effects because it does look a little amateur, so you want to do just enough. Now, one of the times that I like to do transitions or effects is when it is going into my B-roll. Now, one of my favorite transitions is called Glare 2. We're gonna go to transitions, and here it gives you a bunch of trending transitions. If you select any of these other ones, it just gives you so many different ones, which are awesome. And again, a lot of them are free. So the one that I'm going to use, I always go to, it's this one, it's Glare. So what you do is you drag it next to your clip. Now look what happens. It says there are no continuous clips. For you to be able to add a transition, you need to have 2 continuous clips like these. So because this is our B roll and it's on top of our A roll, what we do is make a split on where this clip starts. So I'm gonna hit B for blade and cut that. It still needs the clip right next to it. So what you do, you would add it up. Now, if you notice, once I brought this up, all my other clips moved over, and that can really mess up your whole video. So let me just show you again. Let me go back. You see, bring it up, and everything moved over. So that's not what we want. What you're gonna do is you're gonna go over here to where it says turn off main track magnet. You're gonna select that off, and then we're gonna bring it up and nothing moves. So now you're able to bring your transition, and here you have a smooth transition. Now I like to have the same transition in the beginning and the end of my B-roll, so we're gonna redo that again. We're gonna bring this one up and we're gonna add the same glare transition. So if we go, we see it in and we see it out. Perfect. So now I'm gonna go ahead and add the rest of my transitions on my other B-rolls. Now we go on to captions. In my personal opinion, these are a must. There has been a few times that at night I do want to watch a video on my phone but don't want it loud so I can read the captions. And you may have some followers that are hearing impaired, and that will also help as well. So to add these auto captions, you have to go into the top left where it says text. Then from here, you will go to auto captions and you will select the language that you want. So for us, it'll be English. Then you go ahead and hit generate. It'll take a few minutes and it'll generate the captions for you. Now what you want to do is play your whole video and see if it got the correct verbiage on there. If you need to make some corrections, you would just select the box and this will pop up and you will go ahead and make the changes. So now you know you can make the changes here. And if you go down, you can change everything else for the text that you want. Now, one thing I want you to be aware of is whatever changes you make and you have this selected, it will make changes to every single text that you have here. If I decide to make these a little bigger, it will go ahead and change every other section for it to be bigger. But if I decide just to make the changes to my first captions, I would take this off and I will move it up. And if you go to the next clip, you see that they're on the bottom and not up. But I want all of my captions to be the same, so I'm gonna hit apply to all. We're gonna be in the basic area, so the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna change my font. The one, as you can see here, I usually use is Resolve. So I'm gonna go ahead and use Resolve there. Make this a little bit bigger, but not too much. We can also change the color. We can use one of these pre-fonts here, which is pretty cool. Here you also change the size. Now, if you want to add a background, you can go ahead and do that. You would click on there and you see it adds a background. You can change the color to it as well. So that is another option. If you don't want it to be so bold and a little bit transparent, you can go ahead and put the opacity up or down. Also, this is another pretty cool feature. If you don't want the corners to be so sharp and you want them a little bit more rounded, you can go ahead and round your background. Now, once you're done editing the captions to your liking, the next thing that you want to add is sound effects or music. This brings another little umph to your videos. Head over to the audio tab and here you have a bunch of music that you can choose from, different trending ones. You can go ahead and listen to those. Also, here are your sound effects. So you can search whatever you want. I have a few favorites saved. We have the famous swish, the money sound, our click, our bell, and there is so much more. Go ahead and go through all of the ones that you have. How to save them, you would just hit this little star and it'll put it right into your favorites. Now to add any of these, all you have to do is just drag and drop it where you would want. And it's the same thing as editing your timeline clip here. There you go. You can end it wherever you want, delete those areas, And there you have it. So that's just an example, and it is the same thing with the music that you decide to add to your video. If you want to make the music louder, you can go ahead and stay right here with the volume, bring it all the way up. You see it goes up and down, or you can do it manually here. Make sure your mouse is on this line and go up and down. So let's see how it sounds all the way up. Very loud. But if you want it lower, you can go ahead and make it lower. And here it'll tell you what number it's on, so you can match it all the same way. And here's a fade in and out. And the more you do it, the more you'll be a pro at this. Now, once you're done with that, you just export it and put it on your TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, whatever platform you please. Now, after that, you do need to make a thumbnail so you can bring in people to watch your video. I'm going to link this video in there so you can go ahead and watch that after this one. I'll see you guys soon. Bye, my loves.